Welcome Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan Kadapa District Andhra Pradesh online video classes. Introduce myself. My name is P. Sridevi. I am working as Physical Science CRT in KZBV Kalasapadu Kadapa District. Okay, in the previous classes we learned the two lessons motion and laws of motions. We learned so many things. In the present, we discuss about the third lesson of 9th class physical science. Is matter pure? Is matter pure? What is matter? Matter is a physical quantity which occupies some place and also it have some mass. It is called matter. Matter occupies some place and it has some mass is called matter. Okay, now we discuss is matter pure. Matter is pure or not, we discuss about. We might have gone to the market many times with our parents to purchase rice, salt, milk, ghee and other provisions. You must have tried to ensure that you got the purest possible milk and purest ghee, etc. All of you want to buy pure matter, that means pure milk, pure ghee, etc. In our day-to-day language, pure means something with no adulteration. Pure means something with no adulteration. But in chemistry, pure means something different. But in chemistry, pure means something different. Let us find out what is pure in chemistry. What is pure in chemistry? All of you see the picture. What is that in picture? There is a churning of milk. Churning of milk. Take some milk in a vessel. Take some milk in a vessel. Spin it with a milk churner for some time. Spin it with a milk churner for some time. See the picture. After some time, you observe separation of a paste. Separation of a paste like solid out of the milk. Like solid out of the milk. This paste like solid called cream. This paste like solid called cream. Cream contains more than one component in it. Cream contains more than one component in it. It is therefore a mixture. So, cream is called a mixture. We have already studied out about mixtures in previous classes. Let us learn more about them. Churning makes lighter components to come to the surface when a mixture of liquids are spun rapidly. Commercially, for separating the cream from milk, a machine called centrifuge. Commercially, for separating the cream from milk, a machine called centrifuge is used. It follows the same principle. Centrifugation is also used in a diagnostic laboratory. When we went to hospital, we are suffering from fever. They tell us about do blood tests or urine test. So to test blood and urine samples, the sample is taken in a centrifugation tube and the centrifugation tube is placed in a centrifugation machine. On rotation of the tubes with machine, the heavier particles to the bottom. heavier particles go to the bottom and the lighter particles come to the top of the test tube. So, by the help of centrifugation, we can do the blood test and urine test samples. Okay. Next, what is mixture? What is mixture? Many things that we call pure are actually mixtures of different substances. Many things that we call pure are actually mixtures of different substances. Juice is a mixture of water, sugar and fruit pulp. Juice is a mixture of water, sugar and fruit pulp. Even water contains some salts. Water contains some salts and minerals. All the matter around us can be classified into two groups. Those are pure substances and mixtures. Pure substances and mixtures. Now discuss about what is pure substance. What is pure substance? Something is pure that the composition of the substance does not change. Something is pure that the composition of the substance does not change. No matter which part of the substance we take for examination. Which part of the substance we take for examination. For example, pure substance, pure gold biscuits. Pure gold biscuits are the pure substance. Okay. If you ask what is the pure substance, we write pure gold biscuits are the pure substance. Okay. Now we discuss about mixtures. What is mixture? A mixture is generally made of two or more. Mixture is generally made of two or more. See the picture. In the picture, there are three more items. So, it is called a mixture. But in mixture, components is that are chemically not combined. Components that are not chemically combined. Substances in a mixture retain their own properties. The substances in a mixture retain their own properties and they can be physically separated. And they can be physically separated. For example of mixtures, fruit juice is a mixture of water, sugar and fruit pulp. Okay, now we observe some pure substances and mixtures. All of you see the picture. In figure 4a, there is a pure substance. All particles are same. All particles are same. In figure 4b, there are two types of particles are there. There are two types of particles are there. So, it is called a mixture. So, it is called a mixture. Okay. Now, we discuss types of mixtures. Types of mixtures. You have learned about a mixture. Do you know the types of mixtures? What are they? Let us find out. Mixtures can be in solid, liquid, gaseous states or combination of these three states. So mixtures can be in solid state, liquid state and gaseous state or combination of these three states. Okay. Now we discuss about the heterogeneous mixture and homogeneous mixture. Now we discuss about the heterogeneous mixture. What is heterogeneous mixture? A heterogeneous mixture does not have uniform composition. Heterogeneous mixture does not have uniform composition throughout its mass. Throughout its mass, it has visible boundaries of separation. It has visible boundaries of separation between the various constituents. Between the various constituents. For example of heterogeneous mixtures, mixture of oil and vinegar, mixture of naphthalene and water. So, this is about heterogeneous mixture. About the homogeneous mixtures. Homogeneous mixture. What is homogeneous mixture? A homogeneous mixture will have a uniform composition. Will have a uniform composition throughout its mass. Throughout its mass. So, it have a uniform composition throughout its mass. It has no visual boundaries of separation. It has no visible boundaries of separation between the various constituents. So, this is about homogeneous mixture. For example, homogeneous mixture air. Air is a mixture of gases. In air, there are so many gases: hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, etc. gases are there in air. So, air is a homogeneous mixture. Another example for homogeneous mixture is lemonade. All of you know very well lemonade. In lemonade, which we taken sugar, water, fruit pulp, etc. items, and salt also we take there. So, lemonade and air is the homogeneous mixtures. Homogeneous mixtures. Okay. Now, we discuss about solutions. Solutions. What is solutions? The homogeneous mixtures of two or more substances from which we cannot separate its components by the process of filtration is called a solution. Once again, solution definition. The homogeneous mixtures of two or more substances from which we cannot separate its components by the process of filtration is called solution. Solution can be form of solids, liquids or gases. Solution can be form of solids, liquids or gases. A solution has minimum two components. A solution has minimum two components, that is solvent and solute. Solvent and solute. What is solvent? Solvent, the component of solution that dissolves the other component in it is called solvent. Solvent, the component of the solution that dissolves the other component in it is called solvent. Another one, solute, the component of the solution that is dissolved in the solvent is called solute. For example, we take sugar and water. Sugar and water. Sugar is solute and water is solvent. Okay, so in sugar water, water is solvent. Sugar is solute. Now discuss about the properties of solutions. Properties of solution. In a solution, the particles are so small in size. In a solution, particles are so small in size that we cannot see them with our naked eye. Naked eye. We cannot see them with our naked eye. They do not scatter a beam of light. They do not scatter a beam of light through the solution, and hence the path of the light is not visible in a solution. So, solutions do not scatter a beam of light passing through the solution, and hence the path of the light is not visible in a solution. The solution particles do not settle down. The solute particles do not settle down when left undisturbed. When left undisturbed. Okay. Now we discuss another topic, solubility. What is solubility? The amount of solute present in a saturated solution at a certain temperature is called its solubility at that temperature. Once again, solubility, the amount of solute present in a saturated solution at a certain temperature is called its solubility at that temperature. Okay. Now we discuss about saturated and unsaturated solutions. Okay, all of you see the picture. Saturated solution. When no more solute can be dissolved in the solution. When no more solute can be dissolved in the solution at a certain temperature, it is said to be a saturated solution. For example, for 1 cup of tea, 1 tablespoon of sugar is necessary. So, when we add for 1 cup of tea only 1 cup of sugar, that is called saturated solution. But we add only half cup or more than 1 spoon. It is not called a saturated solution. It is not called saturated solution. In a saturated solution, equilibrium with the undissolved solute at a certain temperature. In a saturated solution, equilibrium the undissolved solute at a certain temperature. So this is about the saturated solution. Okay. Now we discuss about unsaturated solution. If the amount of solute present in a solution is less than that in a saturated solution is called an unsaturated solution. The amount of solute present in a solution is less than that in the saturated solution is called an unsaturated solution. Okay. Properties, factors affecting the rate of dissolving. Factors affecting the rate of dissolving. Temperature, size of the solute particles. Temperature, size of the solute particles and stirring are some of the factors that affect the rate of solubility of solute. If the temperature increase or decrease, size increase or decrease, and stirring is the main factors affecting the rate of solubility of solute in a solvent. Solubility is the measurement of amount of solute. Solubility is the measurement of amount of solute that dissolves in a solvent at a certain temperature, that dissolves in a solvent at a certain temperature. If the amount of solute present is little, if the amount of solute present is little, the solution is called dilute. The solution is called dilute. And if the amount of solute present is more, solute is more, then the solution is said to be concentrated. So solute is less, it is called dilute solution. Solute is more, it is called concentrated solution. Okay. The concentration of solution can be defined as the amount in grams of solute present in 100 grams of solution, or the amount in grams of solute present in 100 ml of the solutions. Okay, now we discuss about how we calculate the mass percentage of solute. So, mass percentage of a solute is equals to mass of solute by mass of solution into 100. Mass percentage of solute is equals to mass of solute by mass of solution into 100. Mass by volume percentage of a solution is equal to mass of solute by volume of solution into 100. Okay, by using these two properties, we find the mass percentage of solution, mass by volume percentage of a solution. Okay. Now we discuss about suspenses and colloidal solutions. Suspenses and colloidal solutions. Finding of heterogeneous mixtures, suspenses and colloids. Take some chalk powder in a test tube. Take a few drops of milk in another test tube. Add water to these samples and stir with a glass rod. Observe whether the particles in the mixture are visible. Can you call these mixtures as solutions? Are the above solutions heterogeneous or homogeneous? Both are heterogeneous mixture. Direct a beam of light from a torch or a laser beam on the test tubes. Is the path of the light beam visible in the liquid? Leave the mixture undisturbed for some time. What changes do you observe? Does the solute settle down after some time? Filter the mixtures. Did you find any residue on the filter papers? We find that the particles of chalk did not dissolve. We find that the particles of chalk did not dissolve but remained suspended throughout the volume of the water. So, this is a heterogeneous mixture. It is a heterogeneous mixture because the solute particles did not dissolve and the particles are visible to naked eye. Such heterogeneous mixtures are called suspenses. So, chalk water mixture is an example of suspenses. Suspenses are the heterogeneous mixes of a solid and a liquid. A solid and a liquid in which the solids do not dissolve, like mixture of soil and water. Next, particles of milk in the second test tube are uniformly spread throughout the mixture. Due to smaller size of milk particles, it appears to be homogeneous, but it is heterogeneous. Milk particles are very small. So we feel it is a homogeneous, but it is a heterogeneous mixture. These particles easily scatter a beam of visible light. These particles easily scatter a beam of visible light. Such mixtures are called colloids or colloidal solutions. Colloids are colloidal solutions. These mixes process the characteristics in between a solution and suspension. These mixtures possesses the characteristics in between a solution and a suspension. They are also called as colloidal dispersion. Colloidal dispersions may appear homogeneous but are actually heterogeneous. So, examples of colloids: milk, butter, cheese, cream, gel, boot polish, and clouds in the sky are some more examples of colloids. So colloidal solutions are heterogeneous in nature and always consist of at least two phases. Always consist of at least two phases: the disperse phase and the dispersion media. The disperse phase and the dispersion media. Disperse phase is the substance that present in small proportion and consists of particles of colloidal size 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. Dispersion medium is the medium in which the colloidal particles are dispersed. These two phases can be in the form of solid, liquid, or a gas. Thus, different types of colloidal solutions are possible depending upon the physical state of the two phases. All of you see in your textbook page number 44, table 2. In that table, there are some examples of dispersion medium, dispersion phase, and colloid type, and also some examples. All of you see that table. Okay. Now we discuss the differences between suspenses and colloids. Suspenses are heterogeneous mixtures. Colloid is also a heterogeneous mixture. Suspenses. The particles of suspenses can be seen with naked eye. The particles of suspenses can be seen with naked eye. The size of colloids, second point, the size of particles of a colloid is too small to be individually seen by the naked eye. Colloidal particles is very, very small, so we cannot see them with the naked eye. Third point in suspenses, the particles of a suspension scatter a beam of light passing throughout it and make its path visible. Particles of suspenses scatter a beam of light passing through it and make its path visible. Colloids are big enough to scatter a beam of light passing through it, which makes its path visible. Fourth point in suspensions, the solute particles settle down. The solute particles settle down when a suspension is kept. Suspension is kept and disturbed. When the particles settle down, the suspension breaks and it does not scatter light anymore. does not scatter light anymore. Fourth point in colloids. They don't settle down when the suspension is left undisturbed. That is, colloid is quite stable. Colloid is quite stable. Fifth point in suspensions. Suspension is unstable. Suspension is unstable. The components can be separated from the mixture. The components can be separated from the mixture by the process. By the process. Fifth point in colloids. The components cannot be separated. The components cannot be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration or descentation or filtration or descentation. Centrifugation technique is used in separation. Centrifugation is used to separate colloidal particles. Okay. Now we discuss one important topic, Tyndall effect. Tyndall effect. What is Tyndall effect? The particles in a colloidal solution. The particles in a colloidal solution can easily scatter a beam of visible light. Can easily scatter a beam of visible light. This scattering of beam of light is called the Tyndall effect. Is called the Tyndall effect. We may observe this effect in our day-to-day life. When a fine beam of light enters a room, when a fine beam of light enters a room, through a small hole or slit, you can try to see Tyndall effect at your home. Another example, select a room where the sunlight falls directly through a window. Close the windows in such a way that a slit is left open between the windows. Then we observe the Tyndall effect. We can also observe this phenomenon while walking on a road having a lot of trees. While walking on a road having a lot of trees on both sides. When the sunlight passes through branches, when the sunlight passes through branches and leaves, you see the path of dust particles. You see the path of dust particles. And one another example is when we observe the Tyndall effect in the kitchen, when the smoke from the stove is exposed to sunlight. Tyndall effect in the kitchen when the smoke from the stove is exposed to sunlight. Okay, these are the examples of Tyndall effect. Okay. Now we discuss about separating the components of a mixtures. Separating the components of mixtures. Usually heterogeneous mixtures can be separated into their respective constituents by simple physical methods like hand picking, sieving, filtration, etc. Sometimes special techniques have to be used for the separation of the components of mixtures. For example, flotation, filtration, crystallization, chromatography, etc. techniques is used to separate the components of heterogeneous mixtures. Okay, let us discuss about the sublimation. Sublimation. Sublimation is a separation of mixtures by sublimation. Separation of mixtures by sublimation. So all of you see the picture. In that picture there is a China dish and cotton plug, inverted funnel, solidified ammonium chloride, vapor of ammonium chloride, mixture of ammonium chloride and salt. These are the parts of the pictures. At first, what we do? Take the mixture of ammonium chloride and common salt. Take the mixture of ammonium chloride and common salt. Take the mixture in a China dish. Take the mixture in a China dish. Take a glass funnel which is big. Take a glass funnel which is big enough to cover the dish. Plug the mouth of the funnel with cotton and invert it over the dish as shown in figure. Keep the dish on the stand of the stove and heat for some time. Keep the dish on the stand of the stove and heat for some time and observe the walls of the funnel. Initially you find vapors of ammonium chloride and then solidified ammonium chloride on the walls of the funnel. So here we separate the ammonium chloride. We separate the ammonium chloride and salt with the process of sublimation. So we can also separate the mixture of camphor and naphthalene also in the sublimation process. Okay, what is sublimation? Sublimation means when we now we discuss about the evaporation. Evaporation all of you know very well. The evaporation means the water vapor at 100 degrees centigrade, that is called the water is evaporated. The water is evaporated at any temperature. The water is evaporated at any temperature is called evaporation. Here we do an activity. All of you see the picture. In that picture there is water, beaker and watch glass, ink and also water vapors. So process of evaporation of water. Take a beaker and fill it to half its volume with water. Take a beaker and fill it to half its volume with water. Keep a watch glass on the mouth of the beaker as shown in figure. Put a few drops of ink. Put a few drops of ink on the watch glass. Heat the beaker and observe the watch glass. Heat the beaker and observe the watch glass. Continue heating till you do not observe any further change on the watch glass. Continue heating till you do not observe any further change on the watch glass. What is evaporated from the watch glass? Is there any residue on the watch glass? We know that ink is a mixture of a dye and water. Ink is a mixture of dye and water. We separated the components in the ink using evaporation. We can separate the components in ink with using evaporation. So that ink is a mixture of solute and solvent. Ink is a mixture of solute and solvent. Is the dye in ink is a single color? Is the dye in ink is a single color? How many dyes are there in ink? How can we find out these? Is there any technique to separate the different components in the ink? That is where chromatography would help us. Chromatography would help us. So all of you see the picture. This is the paper chromatography. This is the paper chromatography. Chromatography is a laboratory technique. Chromatography is a laboratory technique for the separation of mixtures into its individual components. We can use chromatography. To separate components in ink. The process can also be used to separate the colored pigments in plants and flowers. This process is also used to separate the colored pigments in plants and flowers. It is used to determine the composition of mixtures. Now we do the lab activity. So what is the aim? To separate the components of ink using paper chromatography. So required material: beaker, rectangular shaped filter paper, black marker, non-permanent black marker, water, pencil and sellotape. These are the required materials. Okay, now we discuss about the procedure. With a marker, a thick horizontal line is drawn just above the bottom of the filter paper. With a marker, a thick horizontal line is drawn just above the bottom of the filter paper. Second point, a small amount of water is poured in the beaker. Next, the filter paper strip is hung in the beaker using a pencil and tape. The filter paper is hung in the beaker using a pencil and tape such that its edge just touches the water surface. Care is taken to see that the ink line mark does not touch the water. The water is allowed to move up the paper for 5 minutes. The strip is taken out and allowed to dry. Now we can observe different colors. At different heights in the filter paper. So different colors are there in different heights in the filter paper. Thus it is proved that black ink is a mixture of 2 or more colors. In this way, we can separate the components of ink. we can separate the components of ink using paper chromatography. Using paper chromatography. Okay. Now we discuss about how to separate immiscible and miscible liquids. First, we know what is immiscible liquids. An immiscible liquid is one which does not dissolve but forms a layer over another liquid and can be separated easily, like oil is immiscible water. So, immiscible liquid is one which does not dissolve but forms a layer over another liquid and can be separated easily, like oil. Now, when we add oil and water, they becomes to two layers. So, oil water composition is called a immiscible liquid. And also, on a rainy day, we observe on the road when the drops of diesel on a wet road, that becomes like a rainbow. So this is also one example of immiscible liquid. Now, how to separate immiscible liquids? We'll discuss. Separation of immiscible liquids. All of you see the picture. It is a separating funnel. It is a separating funnel. In this separating funnel, there is some parts: stopcock, water, kerosene oil, and separating funnel. So, how we separate the immiscible liquids? We see the procedure. Aim of the activity. So, to separate immiscible liquids, oil and water. Aim of the activity: to separate immiscible liquids, oil and water. Next, required material. Required material: kerosene oil, water, beaker, separating funnel, and stopcock. These are the required material. Okay, next we observe the procedure. What is procedure? A separating funnel of suitable capacity. A separating funnel of a suitable capacity is taken. The mixture of oil and water is poured on it and stopped. We add mixture of water and kerosene oil. After some time, they divided into two layers. The funnel is left undisturbed for some time. The funnel is left undisturbed. Don't disturb for some time. We can observe clearly. The two liquids separated by a boundary. Open the stopcock. The water is down layer and the kerosene is upper layer. When we open the stopcock of the separating funnel and pour out the lower layer of water carefully. When the water is completed, the stopcock is closed. When the water is completed, the stopcock is closed. When the oil reaches the stopcock, the oil is collected in a dry beaker. In this activity, what is the principle? In this activity, what is the principle? The principle of separation. The principle of separation is the immiscible liquids separate out into layers. The immiscible liquids separate out into layers basis on their densities. Basis on their densities. Okay. In this way, we separate the immiscible liquids. In this way, we separate the immiscible liquids. Okay. Next, what is miscible liquids? What is miscible liquids? When two liquids are completely soluble. When two liquids are completely soluble in each other, in all proportions, forming a homogeneous mixture, They are called completely miscible liquids. For example, miscible liquids, alcohol and water. The mixture of alcohol and water is called a miscible liquid. Okay. Now we discuss how to separate the two miscible liquids by distillation process. How to separate the miscible liquids by the distillation process. All of you see the picture. In the picture, what are the required materials? Separating mixture of acetone and water by distillation. Separating the mixture of acetone and water by distillation. Here we take an thermometer, clamp, distillation flask, acetone, cold water, water condenser, mixture of acetone and water. These are the important materials. We want. So, the aim to separate two miscible liquids by distillation. Required material: stand, distillation flask, acetone, water, beaker, stove, etc. Procedure: the mixture of acetone and water is taken in a distillation flask. The mixture of acetone and water is taken in a distillation flask. The flask is fitted with a fractionating column. And arranged to a stand. A condenser is attached to the side tube of the flask. The other end of which is kept in a collecting flask. The mixture is heated slowly. Observing the mercury level in the thermometer. Acetone vaporizes at its boiling point and collects in receiver. Acetone vaporizes at its boiling point and vaporizes and collects in receiver. The temperature remains steady. When the temperature begins to rise, the collecting flask is removed. Heating is stopped. Acetone collects in the receiver and water remains in the distillation flask. Thus, acetone is separated from water from their mixture. So, the process of distillation, we separate water and acetone mixture. Okay, next we discuss about fractional distillation. What if the boiling points of two liquids are close to each other? What if the boiling points of two liquids are close to each other? How we separate? How we separate those miscible liquids? To separate two or more miscible liquids, when the difference in their boiling points is less than 25 degrees, fractional distillation process is used. The boiling point difference is less than 25 degrees, then we used the fractional distillation process. If the difference is boiling points is greater than if the difference of boiling points is greater than 25 degrees, a simple distillation is used. So now we observe what is the fractional distillation process. What is the fractional distillation process? All of you see the picture. This is like the distillation picture, but there is a small difference between these two. Here the additional part is fractionating column. Here the additional part is fractionating column. Remaining all are same. Okay, now we discuss the procedure of fractional distillation. Now we discuss about the procedure of fractional distillation. The process of separating mixtures of two or more liquids having close boiling points differing by less than 25 degrees by repeated distillation and condensation is known as fractional distillation. For example, ethyl alcohol, which have the boiling point of 78.3 degrees centigrade, and water boiling point 100 degrees centigrade, can be separated by this method. Okay. Procedure. The mixture of liquids, which liquids? Ethyl alcohol and water, is taken in a distillation flask. Ethyl alcohol and water is taken in the distillation flask. The flask is fitted. With fractionating column and a thermometer. The flask is fitted with a fractionating column and the thermometer. A condenser is attached to the side tube of the flask. The condenser is attached to the side tube of the flask, the other end of which is kept in a collecting flask. The other end of the condenser is in the collecting flask. The liquid is heated slowly. Ethyl alcohol has a lower boiling point. 78.3 degrees centigrade. Then water. Water have the boiling point 100 degrees centigrade. So, ethyl alcohol vaporizes at first. passing through the fractionating column, on passing through the fractionating column, the vapors cool and condense repeatedly. The vapors became cool and condense repeatedly. The liquid alcohol collects in the receiver. The liquid alcohol collects in the receiver. Water remains in the distillation flask. Water remains in the distillation flask. It is also called, fractional distillation is also called fractionation.